Today, we are going to break down the hidden physics of success. We're talking about momentum. It's that invisible force high performers use to make winning feel, well, almost inevitable. It's what separates those who truly dominate from those who are just competing. So let's dive right in. So this is really the core question, isn't it? If talent and hard work were all it took, success would be a simple formula. But it's not. There's this other variable in the equation, one that elite competitors, founders, and operators obsess over. What is it that they know that so many others miss? And let's be absolutely clear from the jump. This is not another talk about positive thinking or finding your motivation. This is an analysis of a mechanism. It's about the mental physics that govern how progress actually accelerates. We're here to extract the real signals, not the slogans. All right, let's get into our first section, the momentum signal. This is the core and kind of counterintuitive truth that separates the people who build momentum from those who are always just trying to find it. You know, most of us are taught to believe in the path on the left. We think some massive, heroic effort will lead to that one big breakthrough. But high performers, they live on the right side of this slide. They understand that real, lasting success isn't about one giant leap. It's about engineering a series of small strategic wins that build on each other to create powerful psychological momentum. And this is the part that most people get backward. The primary effect of winning isn't actually external, it's internal. Momentum changes your perception of what you're capable of first. The big results, the huge outcomes, those are just a lagging indicator of an internal shift that has already taken place. So how does this actually work in your head? Well, first, every little win lowers the mental friction for the next task. It just gets easier to start. Second, your confidence transforms. It stops being this fragile feeling you have to conjure up, and it becomes something solid, something based on actual evidence. You don't just hope you can win, you have a documented record of it. And finally, your brain, which is basically a prediction machine, literally updates its forecast. Success starts to feel more and more probable, which in turn makes you act with way more conviction. Now, this psychological shift we're talking about, it's not just some temporary boost. It actually kicks off a much deeper, more permanent change. So let's look at the pattern that actively rewires your mind for future success. It's this incredible chain reaction. It all starts with small wins changing how you see yourself. That new identity then starts to dictate how you'll act in the future, almost automatically. And then finally, your expectation of success, which is now based on real data, begins to shape the quality of everything you do. Let's break that down piece by piece. Okay, this first pattern is so fundamental. Your identity is simply a lagging indicator of your repeated actions. Think about that. You don't just decide to be a winner and then magically start winning. No, you win consistently in these small, almost unnoticeable ways, and eventually your brain just concludes, oh, I guess I'm a winner. Your behavior comes first and your identity follows. And this is the feedback loop that creates it. You take these small, consistent actions and they start to pile up. Your brain, which is always looking for patterns, registers what's happening. And soon that pattern solidifies into a core belief. I am the kind of person who finishes what they start. Or I'm the kind of person who figures things out. Once that happens, your future actions just naturally start to align with that new identity. Success starts to feel less like a struggle and more like an inevitability. And all of this leads to the second pattern. Winners start to expect to win. And again, let's be really clear. This is not hope. It's not wishful thinking. It's a cold, hard, data-driven conclusion based on a history of success. And this expectation, it works under the surface, quietly scripting your behavior before you even start putting in the conscious effort. The impact of this is incredibly tangible. When you expect to win, your focus gets sharper. You persist for longer when you hit a roadblock. You become willing to take smarter risks, and you make decisions faster because you're not second-guessing yourself all the time. And maybe most importantly, you stop looking at a problem and wondering if it can be solved. You just approach it with this quiet assumption that, of course, a solution exists, and you're going to find it. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but let's take it into the real world. How does this psychological momentum give someone a decisive edge in high-stakes environments where the pressure is always on? In any competitive arena, the person with momentum is the one who dictates the pace of the game. When it comes to risk, those past wins are like psychological capital in the bank, giving you the confidence to take bigger, more calculated bets. In a negotiation, that same evidence-based confidence can completely shift the power dynamic in the room. And when you're facing deep uncertainty, having a personal track record of solving hard problems creates real, genuine resilience to stress.
But, of course, there's another side to this coin. What's the cost for people who don't get this? For those who just keep waiting for that one big breakthrough instead of manufacturing these small daily wins?
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? If your confidence isn't built on a foundation of actual, tangible wins, it's just imaginary. It's going to shatter at the first sign of real pressure. And without that forward momentum, internal resistance, that feeling of not wanting to start becomes your default state. It's the perfect recipe for mental fragility. And the result of that fragility is predictable. It's stagnation. This is that state where you start to feel invisible in your field because you're not consistently putting points on the board. It's where you become replaceable because you don't have that psychological edge that really commands value. And it's where you collapse under pressure because you have no real evidence-based belief in your own ability to succeed. So this brings us to the ultimate difference, the specific edge that winners cultivate over time. It all comes down to a fundamental difference in how they approach the entire mental game. This table really lays it out. The stagnant performer is always focused on some distant, fuzzy outcome. The momentum builder, they're obsessed with the immediate next win. One person is trying to find confidence, like it's a feeling they lost. The other is building it, brick by brick, like evidence for a case. And maybe most importantly, one sees their identity as this fixed, static thing, while the other sees identity as a verb, an ongoing process that is shaped by their actions every single day. So look, understanding the physics of momentum is one thing, but applying it is something else entirely. We're going to end this with 3 sharp questions to help you turn this analysis into action. First question, what have you already won? Seriously. Your momentum doesn't have to start from scratch. Look back and take an inventory of your successes, no matter how small you think they are. This is your existing evidence. This is the foundation you're going to build on. Second, what is your next win? Notice I didn't say your ultimate goal or your 10-year plan. What is the single, tangible, immediate action you can take to add one more piece of evidence to the stack? Define it, focus on it, and then go execute it. And finally, the last question. What are you expecting right now? Be honest with yourself. Is your expectation of success based on hope and imagination? Or is it becoming a data-driven conclusion based on the momentum you are actively building one small win at a time? The answer to that question really does determine everything.